Okay, my friends, this is the Colorado River. It's just turned blood red in certain areas. And we're going to take a look into this right now because this is happening not only at the Colorado, but it's worldwide. All right, let me just explain to you. This is my take on this now, is that this region here was basically an impact site when Venus hit Earth. And it just tore this right down to the guts of the creature. That's why there's no volcanoes in here. In the Grand Canyon, almost no volcanoes. Because they've ripped it down into the guts so they don't get all pressurized. This is Vermilion Cliffs. All right, look at what this is made of here, this area. Look at this. This is just a bloody mess. You see this? That's not your average biology. I mean geology. Just rocks and so on. No. This is blood running out of here. There's so much blood here, it's unbelievable. What it is actually, the body parts of this creature, it's the guts. This has been ripped open, and normally it would be way out here, and you'd have to get way down in here before you get to these guts. Which means if this was covered up and capped over, it would keep it from exploding basically, but there'd be pops here and pops over here and over here. Depends on where there was a lot of biology, a lot of chemistry. And I can see green, these two colored greens right there. That it always indicates to me there's some kind of serious biology going on in this area. You see this over here? And they mine these things because there's different minerals and so forth in them, salts. But you see the whole area here. This could be up in the small intestine or something. I don't know. But this is, to me, this is guts. And I'm going to show you some just bloody guts. I don't know if I showed them to you or not yet, but Vermilion Cliffs, it's just all it is in there. And that's why they don't have a lot of volcanoes, because it's open to just sort of drifting out into space, where if it was capped off, it would explode. The warmer the climate gets, the more decomposition is going to happen deep in the earth. This just doesn't happen to be deep because it was gouged out. But virtually everywhere on Earth is a creature's body underneath, outside, like Quetzalcoatl here. Everybody's, oh, this can't be. Yes, it is. There's no question, really, no question that's Quetzalcoatl. This is the size of these creatures we're talking about. This coloration here is his head. These are his beards. That's his eyeball area. This all up in here is his headdress. And he's spitting out into the gulf of whatever you want to call it. And his throat is this river system. You see it? It goes right up around, and it curves right down his neck. Goes basically underground at this point, all the way up his coast, and his feathers are still up here in the green feathered mountains. You see those? Those are feathers. That's not tectonic push and shove. These are feathers. And that's why they grow so green, things here, because green, feather meal, they sell it to give to your plants to make them grow green. They say it's because it's got a lot of nitrogen in it. You see? These are all feathers sweeping up the coast, all the way up. You see? There's feathers everywhere. This is his shoulder up in this area here. You see that? And that's him. Now, what's underneath there? He's not ripped open like over here. Now let me show you Vermilion Cliffs. All right, the Colorado River is right near Vermilion Cliffs. They're totally intertwined, and this is the kind of blood running out from, this is intestinal tissue or something along that line. It's in the guts of that creature, and that creature is absolutely stunningly large. I believe the Grand Canyon was the impact site where we almost got hit by a fiery comet long ago, and it ripped the guts out of that creature. And below the surface is guts of creatures. I'm telling you, everything is made out of biology. And when we're looking at the surface of things, we're just looking at the surface. To get down into the guts, you got to really do some digging. And this was plowed out, I believe, by an impact of the fiery comet in that Grand Canyon region, just ripped it right down into the guts. And that's what we're looking at right there. Okay, this is like 1,000 times more than the Grand Canyon up on Mars, because Mars got hit and crashed by Venus. We just got bumped. But the bump, I think, was what caused the Grand Canyon. And where did it bump? Well, here's where it bumped, from Venus. And what is this? This is a welding scar. It's an arc, welding arc. Nobody can deny that. You go to any welder that does arc welding and ask them what that is, and they say it's a welding arc. Well, how would that welding arc get on top of Venus? Well, here's why. When it slammed into Mars, it stripped Mars of its magnetic field, literally sucked its magnetic field in as an electric discharge into Venus, causing this. Same time it lost its it lost the magnetic field, but in addition to that, it lost its atmosphere. This is the whole reason that our Grand Canyon exists, as far as I'm concerned, because Venus almost hit us, caused a worldwide flood, caused all kinds of silicates to come up from the ocean floor, created all my mud fossils, wiped out almost all life on Earth. And so let's just keep going. You see, that's stomach tissue from a creature, a human, I think. And this is stomach tissue from a gigantic, gigantic creature, and this guy's walking on it. They call it pillow basalt. They attribute everything to lava and magma and so forth. That is not lava and magma. That is hardened up stomach tissue. All right, I'm just going to read you the background here. This is breaking news. Colorado River turns blood red, stirring alarm and investigation. Now, this is the Grand Canyon region, the Colorado River. This is just July 3rd, 2025. This is the 5th. Now, this is in Arizona. In a stunning and eerie natural phenomenon, a stretch of the Colorado River flowing through a rocky canyon has turned an intense blood red color, and just like blood, drawing concern from scientists, local authorities, and environmental groups. The dramatic change in the river's hue was first reported early this morning, which is July 3rd, by hikers and drone photographers exploring the arid desert. It's basically overnight near the Arizona-Utah border. The scene resembles something out of a surrealistic painting. Stark brown and gray rock formations flank a glassy crimson river beneath an overcast sky dotted with dense sweeping clouds. Now they're talking about the cause. This is the look of it. Now I want you to see something careful here. We see it's blood red. That's not hard to see. What is this here? What's going on there? This looks like somebody tiled those right onto there. You see that? Those look like they're tiled, patterned, almost like bricks. And that is about as red as you can get. And that is kind of eerie and scary looking. Okay, so let's turn to the experts. We're talking possible causes under investigation. Algal bloom or microorganisms. Well, yes. Experts suspect a possible bloom of Dunaliella salina or other halophilic microorganisms and can cause red or pink discoloration, highly saline environments, mineral runoff, or pollution. A mineral or chemical runoff, possibly from upstream mining activity, natural sediment disruption, could also be responsible. Low water levels. The cracked, parched terrain around the riverbanks indicates possible drought stress. Why that would cause it to turn red, I have no idea. Potentially concentrating any minerals or organic matter in the water, not overnight. We don't believe this is a harmful at the moment. Excuse me. Okay, my friends, this is kind of serious. The Colorado River has turned blood red literally overnight, a couple days ago. This is the 5th of July, 2025. This happened on the 3rd of July. And this was the scene people woke up to when they came out to, observe out in this area. All of a sudden it's turned blood red basically overnight. Okay, this was just a month or two ago in Argentina. The same thing happened. It's happening in a lot of places around the world. Okay, there's a lot of people paying attention to this because there's a lot of things happening on the earth right now that are a little bit scary. And now this is from a place called 3O. And they're talking about end of the world signs leading to the apocalypse. Now I'm just going to talk about the earth and the changing colors in the rivers and so forth, and the increased amount of electrical discharge and heavy rains. And there's a terrible flood down in the United States yesterday, and a whole batch of young girls were killed from this terrible flood. And these things are becoming quite common. It's not like they're just every now and then now. Now I'm just going to play this and you can see what you see out of this. Here goes.
The year 2025 dawned with a sense of unease that gradually intensified as a series of bizarre and alarming phenomena began to unfold across the globe. While the world grappled with existing geopolitical tensions and environmental concerns, a new layer of disquiet settled upon humanity. One of the earliest and most unsettling occurrences was the transformation of major rivers in various parts of the world into streams of crimson. The once life-giving waters, vital for agriculture and sustenance, began to flow with a thick red hue. Initial scientific investigations yielded inconclusive results, with no single pollutant or natural phenomenon able to fully explain the widespread discoloration. Theories ranged from unprecedented algal blooms to the leaching of unknown mineral deposits. But the sheer scale and simultaneous occurrence of the red rivers fueled speculation far beyond the scientific realm. Amplified by social media and fringe news outlets, the psychological impact was significant as communities dependent on these rivers faced not only a potential ecological disaster, but also a profound sense of foreboding.
Yes. And this, I'm going to try to explain to you why this is happening all over the world and why we're having so many volcanoes, earthquakes. They are on the rise. Okay, the experts say there's no real change in volcanism and earthquakes and so forth, but they do say localized increases and fluctuations. Yes, they do happen. Increased reporting, that's why there's so many now. Global volcanism program, people are paying attention now. That's why there's so many. I know, people are paying attention because there is so many. That's the reason. Okay, my friends, what you're seeing right there is on the coast of Oregon. Tyson Carlson, Tyson's Mudfossil Adventures, went out and he researched this area and found this is a membrane. And these are the ion channels, or the protein channels that move things back and forth. Now, you see this layer up here? This is 2 layers, bilipid, 2 layers fats or lipids membrane, upper layer. So there's one of these up above as well, and then up above that there's skin. There's all kinds of stuff. Now this, I believe, is on the outside edge of the creature's body. Whatever creature it was, I can't tell you, but it was gigantic. As you can see, they use these for fire pits. They sit down inside here and they can make fires in these. In us, you need an electron microscope, and you maybe still have a hard time seeing them. Now, this is also a membrane, obviously not that size. Now, what layer this is, I don't know. But one of these, probably one, is in one of these thin layers. There is so many layers in your body of tissue in the membranes and in like the skin and everything. It's unknown, I don't think, because I'm finding things that nobody's ever seen before. The fluid-filled highway is just unknown. That's this area in here. It's actually attached to that area. I think it's right underneath this area is the fluid-filled highway. And this is the membrane that allows things to come in and out. It's a barrier to invasion. Now, you remember when I showed you the Colorado River? Remember these little plates? You see how they have like a little seam around them, and there's these little channels around all of them. Originally that had a bunch of goo in there, just mucus basically, which gave it support on the structure. And hold on, let me show you something else. And there it is right there. This is a biphospholipid membrane. Alright, now you get phospholipids on the top, phosphorus. Same thing on the bottom. In between, there's two different types of structures in here. One of them opposes water and one of them attracts water. They're called hydrophobic and hydrophilic. And then you have these channel proteins. And then there's all kinds of little devices in here and things that keep bad stuff out and let good stuff in. And let bad stuff out. I mean, it's got to work. It's got to understand the chemistry of the polarities. It's all got to do with enzymes and understanding what's got to come in and go out. This is very, very, very complex procedure because all this stuff is floating through your body, and it doesn't. The membrane says, no, you stay out. And inside that membrane, where all the tissue is, it's got to discharge things. So it's got to let things in, but it's got to let things out. Very, very sophisticated device. Now remember this structure, and remember what I showed you from Tyson. And let's take a look at the Colorado River one more time. All right, now don't forget, there's membranes between every single layer of tissue in your body. They separate everything. So they're like rubber bags, but they have to be able to twist and contort and everything. And this is the same thing here. I believe that's exactly the same thing as I showed you on the coast of Oregon. Now, these blocks. Now, what's underneath? I don't know. But this is below. This is not like skin. So we're down in the guts of the creature, and this could be coating a heart. And now the heart is leaking. That's a possibility. Or a liver, or who knows what. But these are part of a membrane. I'm almost certain of that. If you look at them carefully, you'll see the patterning. Hard to dismiss. And the biology here is, the chemistry is biology. And there's a blood vessel somewhere that just popped and let go. And it's because the earth is heating up, and these things are getting more and more pressurized under the earth, and they're going to pop and let loose in the area that was originally either almost frozen or plugged up for some reason. And now it's popped open. That's what I'm seeing there. You know, the more I look at it, the more I think this is a heart. And you see how red that is? Hearts are literally nothing but muscle and blood. And they have to have a membrane on them, and I believe that's the membrane. And right under there is all the muscly red blood. Look how dense with blood they are. This is how dense a heart is with blood. And everything else here is nothing more than muscle, which is just saturated tissues saturated with blood. This is what feeds them. The tissues are the whole thing. So then there's going to be a membrane surrounding the whole heart. And that membrane, I believe, is what we were seeing there. So there's going to be a membrane, like right here, surrounding that heart. And I believe that that's what we're looking at. It's down deep in the ground. But this particular area, it's as far as I'm concerned, it got torn to shreds by the impact of Venus into us. And this was not an unknown thing. This was recorded. Velikovsky in Worlds in Collision recorded the entire world history, every culture, what they had recorded about this particular event, and they all had a story. And it was all very similar. And it was catastrophic. Okay, I know this is hard for the average person to even start to consider, but I think you should do. This is the Bennu sample they brought back. These are heart sarcomeres. These are the phospholipid membrane layers between the sarcomeres so that they can slide and do all their work. And this is what heart bundles look like when they're cut across this way. And that is here on Earth from Bennu, which is no doubt a heart. And I've shown all this. So we are so misled, or not, we just don't understand anything. This is a heart muscle from here on Earth. Same stuff. And it's also on Mars. I've shown this over and over, and I am going to continue to show it over and over until somebody starts to pay attention to reality. And the next thing we're going to go into is our moon. And then these different colors. Why are these different colors always the same? Red, yellow, blue, green. Why? What's this all about? The dark side of our moon. Can I explain this? Yes, I can. And I will. All right, I love you all. And again, we need to understand and open our eyes wide enough to realize some things are spectacular, they're disturbing, and they're marvelous. And these are all of those things. All right, I love you all.